Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our IHL and film series. I have with us Aisha Malik, who is team lead of the Conflict Law Center here at RSIL, as well as editor-in-chief of the DLP Forum. Welcome to the show, Aisha.
Thank you.
Great. So, Aisha, we had a lot of discussion in episode 1 where we looked at perfidy, and perfidy can't really be discussed without discussing the exception to it or ruses of war, which are really tricks or stratagems or strategies employed during warfare to deceive the enemy or to trick the enemy into believing something else, misguiding them, etc. And those are lawful acts, right? But the distinction between perfidy, which is inviting the confidence and then betraying that confidence of the enemy, is something that distinction isn't very clear. Right. So I wanted to use this scene that we have from the movie Fury, which is a great movie, by the way. Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf, a bunch of other great actors with great performances. I wanted to use this scene where they're essentially setting up a trap for Nazi troops, SS troops, really, that are coming in. So shall we have a quick look at the clip?
They're coming.
No one makes a move unless I say.
Come on, you cocksuckers. Come on in.
Macht schon! Und oben, unten, kommt schon! Weiter! Schneller! Macht auf!
Come on in.
Auf den kaputten Panzer drauf!
Almost.
Zweiter und dritter Zug! Da seid ihr da immer noch drin! Beeilt euch! Now! Alarm! Right there, motherfuckers! Clear! Fire! On what? Clear!
On what?
Okay, so we get the picture.
Yes.
Right? So just a bit of background on this scene. Essentially, what happens is that the tank Fury and its crew are basically sent to secure a crossroads to secure the rear of the advancing Allied troops. And once they get there, they have a skirmish as well. But once they get to the crossroads, there's a mine that just damages the tank, so they can't really move. And Don Wardaddy Collier, who Brad Pitt plays, he essentially is looking at wanting to complete the mission, right? So he tells his people, "Do you want to volunteer for this?" So he lets them go if they want to, but they all stay. They're gonna defend this crossroad, but they have a damaged tank and they can't really do anything. So what they do is they essentially cover up the tank, make it look damaged, and then wait for the Nazi soldiers to come. So that, I think, is a really good depiction of a ruse of war. So could you explain to us what definitionally a ruse of war would entail?
So they're permissible deceptions. They're kind of tricks that kind of lure the enemy in and allow you to attack them or do whatever you will with them. But they don't amount to perfidy in the sense, as you said, they don't betray that confidence and to attack or injure or for you to escape. I also think here it's quite interesting because the line you can see very clearly here in that they have feigned retreat, and you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to feign retreat, and then you can attack. So in the Battle of Hastings, that's apparently what they did to the Britons as well. They feigned retreat when they had left their fortifications, and they came in and attacked them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what would make this perfidy was if they had put a white flag on the tank.
Yeah.
Because that then would be inviting that confidence to be like, this is someone you cannot attack. These are a protected person in some
Or
way.
if they had, acted injured and then waited for the guys to come, like in the last scene
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
previous episode that we did.
Yeah.
So in episode 1 we looked at, the last scene that we looked at out of the 3 was from the Pacific, and where you had, a Japanese soldier. He was, acted injured, and as soon as they came, rescuers came from the American forces there, he blew up, he detonated a grenade.
Yeah.
Right? That is clearly perfidy.
Yeah,
Right? He
yeah.
invited that confidence that I'm a protected individual. You owe me a duty under international humanitarian law to care for the wounded, and then he betrays that by killing them.
Yeah.
So that is very different from what took place here.
Yes, yeah. It's quite interesting as well when we're looking at Ruses of War, what is permissible and what isn't. That you're allowed to feign retreat. You're allowed to do surprise attacks. You're also allowed to pretend that you're communicating with forces or reinforcements that don't exist, which I love because it's like, oh yeah, my friends are just, they're off camera. They're laughing with me out there.
Absolutely.
And you can even use like aircraft decoys, and you can use them to figure out where their ground troops are when they go and fire at those decoys. So I think all of these are tricks of the trade, and it's quite interesting because I think over history, especially with the whole Trojan horse thing, which is what Ruses of War are seen as.
Absolutely.
They were kind of seen as something that was secondary to bravery. So bravery was not using these and, just going
it was more
open
chivalrous
battle. Yes, yeah, exactly.
Honorable to go fight the enemy.
Yeah. And there was the Prussian general who was talking about these, and he was like, no, this actually requires a lot of wit and a lot of imagination. And I think it does, acts like this in the attempt to lure someone into a trap.
Absolutely.
And attack them in war. I think it is quite brave at the same time.
No, absolutely. I mean, this particular example, this is almost a suicide mission.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree. But, it's really interesting in modern warfare, or in modern, even the precursor to actual warfare, that stage, you see a lot of things like disinformation.
Yes.
And does that fall within the concept of, or the category of ruses of war? Would it be perfidious to an extent?
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to rouse up, local populations. So like we see, transmissions being made into Russia, for example, right now. Trying to tell the people, what state media isn't showing them.
So in Iraq, thousands of emails were sent out to Iraqi army officers telling them to leave their posts and to leave the army.
Oh, wow.
And they were sent out by, American propagandists. And the whole idea was that was an acceptable ruse of war.
Yeah.
But if they had used an email address, which was at icrc.org, that would be perfidy.
Okay. Would it also be perfidy if it was from, say, the Iraqi forces?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah. That would be
very
perfidious. Yeah.
So as long as it's from a random source.
It's just leave your post.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, this concept is going to have to evolve looking at how warfare is evolving.
Yeah.
Right. Especially the cyber domain, especially, when it comes to the novel areas because of technological advancement that we're seeing in warfare, and the other elements that are being put, informational warfare, informatized warfare. Those are aspects that are going to have a lot of, these rules are going to play a very different role there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're breaching someone's communication system and you're telling them that something is somewhere when it's not, what does that mean? And maybe we'll see the definition of perfidy broaden in such an instance when states, they're like, no, actually, this is going too far. We don't want to allow this anymore.
No, absolutely. Well, Aisha, thank you so much. I think this was a really interesting clip to analyze, and also the discussion on the rules of war. I think it clarified quite a bit from our previous episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And as always, if we've missed anything in this, if you feel that we need to discuss something in more detail, do write in the comments, and of course, do watch our first episode to understand this one better. Thank you very much.